Was red as the future was wait ever you. Train rolls in the station. You cannot make a move. Something inside you gives you heat, and then you know it's true. Is the fog lifting, or is it in your mind? You stand frozen as time unwinds. You can lay on the platform. You can weep and moan. Or you can reach your hand up and stop standing alone. Let them take your hand as you lift your face. Rise and take your place.
Hour two. First thing I want to do is I want to say thank you to CNJFO for their sponsorship and support. So CNJFO is the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners, which is a tax-exempt not-for-profit, and they have a goal to defeat justifiable need and reverse the course of all anti-freedom laws and render aid to other jurisdictions by filing Supreme Court-bound litigation. And they do it so absolutely so well. So CNJFO is a not-for-profit 501c3. And to learn more or donate, go to cnjfo.com and learn about them. Support them if you can. And we'll go from there. So I don't know if you heard that the NRA annual meeting that was scheduled for Houston, Texas. We'd been talking about it for a while because we were doing a concealed carry fashion show there. This week they announced that it was canceled. So everybody is backing out of their travel arrangements. They're canceling their hotel rooms. They're looking at
victim of the COVID.
Right.
thing, and it's some people are luckily enough to be able to get out of some of their stuff. Others are kind of stuck going to Houston, like it or not.
Right. We've got friends. We've got friends that are going to Houston regardless because everything they booked was non-cancelable,
and they're like, I guess we're having vacation in Houston. Our gun friends are just not going with us.
Right.
And so hopefully they can stretch from Houston to someplace. I don't know. We'll see where their rental car takes them. We'll see what their week's adventure looks like when they get back. But if you were thinking about going to the NRA, to Houston for the NRA annual meeting, stop, take a look at it, cancel your plans or reschedule your plans, because the party is not taking place. Nix the party. The parents have been notified. You can't have a party at their house. Their parents are home. I don't know what it is, but I'm sad.
I hear there's still a couple things going on that were not actually NRA motivated, but if you're in that circle, you might get to go to the range and shoot some different guns or something, but we cannot say for sure what's actually happening and what's not.
What isn't. But yeah, the fashion show is canceled.
We're stuck at home. Take
it for that. Yeah, there is that. This is my sad face because the NRA is canceled. We're not going to get to see. So
then if you're looking for a good quality concealed carry gun, look at Car Arms. They make some really good quality stuff. They got polymer frame guns. They got steel frame guns. All different calibers, 380, 9mm, 40, 45. Night sights, not night sights, whichever one you like it or don't.
Yeah, and there's CW9. It's really a slim for a bigger gun. It's not big. It's a mid-sized gun, but it's really slender at the same time. And
if you're a 1911 person, they have full-size government models, and then they have the 1911U, which is an aluminum framed 3-inch barreled compact. Mine runs like a champion, so it's not. Some of those are kind of particular about ammo.
I love their creative ones. I love the bomber art ones. That type of stuff. I just think that whoever works in their art department, they're brilliant. That's all I got to say about that. They're brilliant. So,
and you can get a Tommy gun too if you want.
You can if you want. How can you not want?
There's a lot of things. Look it up online. There's a lot of things that they offer that we're not telling you about because it's top secret.
Yes.
You get a BFR.
Okay.
They say biggest, finest revolver is how they actually say it.
The biggest, finest revolver?
It actually shoots rifle ammo, so you can get it in 45-70, I believe 30-30, some of the other calibers like that.
Is the BFR good for concealed carry?
If you got deep pockets or big pants or something.
You need to be a big guy. Are you a big guy?
So, I think it has about a 3-inch long cylinder, and then it's got barrel on top of that, so they're kind of long. So
yeah. So it's they're big. They really are big. So there's some stuff happening in the industry. Well,
good stuff or bad stuff?
Stuff. We'll say first, Chipman has not yet been
confirmed.
Right. So is that stuff? Is that good stuff? Because you can't say good.
I don't believe he's going to make it because if they had the votes, they would have already pushed him in.
So you can't say good stuff and Chipman in the same sentence. It doesn't matter. But David Chipman was nominated by the president to be the director of the ATF, and he's an anti-gun guy.
Whatever happened to the one where he was the Beto that he was going to put in charge of taking your ARs from you?
I don't know.
I haven't heard it.
We haven't heard much. I'd like to keep it that way, so don't invoke that at all. We'll just keep him so Beto stays in Texas and doesn't talk to us. That would be great. But the ATF has a deadline for comments on the stabilizing brace rule. So the deadline is September 8th for public comments on the proposed rule change regarding handgun stabilizing arm braces. And the Second Amendment Foundation has launched an ambitious effort to encourage and guide gun owners to submit their comments to the BATFE. And you can. And if you want to, go to SAF's website, saf.org, and they actually have some bullet points. They have a link. They will say, read this over, see which ones you like, don't like, which comments you think have merit, and use them. So,
well, in the comment sections for what makes a frame, I believe, are closed now, and also the ones for the 80% receivers and stuff are.
So there's a lot of this stuff going on, and so we're not quite sure.
The funny part at the bottom, it tells you if you're gonna put something in by mail, it tells you what size the print has to be and stuff, so it can't be too small or anything, or they won't read it.
Right.
Apparently, the guy reading it's got bad eyesight.
No, well, 12-point font is a standard font, and so if you make it little and you print it, but the ATF will consider anything with a postmark on or before September 8th as meeting the deadline. So this is kind of like the IRS. You can either send it in electronically before the deadline, and you can squeeze in September 8th. They're making it so you could postmark it by September 8th. So just get your comments heard, so that there is all of that.
Comments should be professional in tone and not
profanity laced. As much as you'd like to say, hey, jackwagon, we have to have a conversation here. You need to talk like you're talking to your school teacher or your minister,
yep.
Right?
No inappropriate content.
Right. Say, Mom, I disagree with you, and here's why. As opposed to, you don't call her a jackwagon, so don't call them. Because they'll discount everything that you say from that point forward. You go into the ash can. So
they talk about these 80% receivers and
right.
and they've closed down the thing, so you can't talk about ghost guns or anything. As much as ghost gun is a PR term that they use to.
It's like assault weapon. We're letting them own the terms.
So, but the thing is since before this country was a country, people made their own guns out of parts and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just now the parts are different than the old days of wood and steel, and so. Why is it that we're not allowed to move ahead with technology and make our pieces out of whatever ceramic and polymers and things like this?
Right. So they're really trying to take another level away from the gun owners. It was really interesting. So Polymer 80 is a company that made their business about making 80% guns. And going from there, not that they're really 80%, it's just a nebulous number that just was picked.
And that showed that it wasn't complete, but they didn't really say how
really
many.
Isn't. How do you figure out exactly what the percentage is of that? But so they have, if you want to go to AmmoLand, and there's an article by John Crump on it. So AmmoLand's really got, I was looking today, and there is really a lot of stuff moving and shaking on their website, as is Bearing Arms. But so Polymer 80 is invested. They're really invested, and they've got a lot of statements, and they've got a lot of thoughts, and they've got things where they're sharing that with all y'all. And if you have any interest at all in the 80%, it's worthwhile to kind of watch this, follow it, and to read up on it a little bit. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Taliban saying you don't need guns because we'll protect you.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Seppacool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
We are back, and so I kind of want to lead from something that's going on in Afghanistan, and we're going to run it right to Louisiana, to the hurricanes, and believe me,
it all kind of links together anyhow.
I was going to say there's a tie-in. There really is a tie-in. But right now,
only the uniforms change. That's
something. So right now, the Taliban is telling the citizens of Afghanistan that they need to turn in the weapons and the government will protect them. So the Taliban fighters in Kabul have started collecting weapons from civilians on Monday because people no longer need them for personal protection because the military is out of the country.
But the other thing I heard was that they're having some bad actors in the Taliban because they're saying that the chain of command of word hasn't got all the way out to the far-reaching territories. So they don't. The ones that are in the mountains still don't know how to treat women correctly.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's what the article said.
So
was
they
that
just they
haven't got the memo. Is all.
They just haven't gotten that kinder, gentler memo, right? We understand that people kept weapons for personal safety. They can now feel safe. It's all about feelings.
It sounds like the same stuff Feinstein tells us.
We're not here to harm innocent civilians. Okay, so they're not. So they're talking about the military versus the civilians. But what are they talking about crime and civilian to civilian versus the military to civilians? And oh, by the way, what are they talking about with the? Never mind. There's just so. But
yeah, multiple layers of this that
right. So there's a so much of that, and you've really got to look at that and pay attention. But
here in the U.S., there's a group that says I ain't giving up nothing. So I don't know how it's going to go over there.
I think it's going to be the same thing over there. But it's sort of like what's happening right now. Well, let's go to the fact that Hurricane Ida is hitting Louisiana right now. And when Hurricane Katrina came through, there were groups of local police who went in and said, well, if you're going into one of the shelters, you don't need your guns. If you're vigilante defending your home from people who are coming in to ransack it or raid it or take your stuff, you don't really need guns. And so how is this?
So they were disarming everyone in the thing. That was 16 years ago.
And right now, Louisiana is still saying you don't need permitless carry, right? Didn't it get vetoed? Wasn't that the circumstance?
They're fighting amongst themselves because some of the sheriffs there say that you don't need a gun and we'll protect you.
We'll protect you.
And other parts are saying that if you're legally allowed to buy a gun, you should be allowed to carry it concealed.
The gun. Right.
And so we still have to figure out where that line is and what shall not be infringed actually means, I think, is...
I just don't see a huge difference between the police in Louisiana saying you don't need a gun and the Taliban saying you don't need a gun.
Well, I think that's going to ruffle some feathers right there because...
how dare I compare the Louisiana police to the Taliban? I'm saying there is nothing different in that message. I got to say the
Louisiana police have nicer uniforms, though.
I don't see anything different in this message. I really don't see anything. It's like, wake up. Are you kidding me? Are you is that really coming out of your mouth? Do you really believe, since I give you my gun, I don't get a policeman. So it's not like it's a fair trade. That's what I want. If that's what we're going to do,
you got to carry that policeman around. They're kind of heavy.
I know. I want a cute one though. give me a cute one. But no, since you're not doing that, how can you? If it's my job to protect me, then let me do my job.
Right, but they don't see it that way. They're there to protect you, and so now all of a sudden,
their job is to put a toe tag on me and identify the body and figure out who might have done it.
But most of them come with the "here I am to save the day" thing, even if they're not really by court order not there for that.
I know they intend to, but they're not going to be there in time.
Right. I mean, and the more people that you add on that, I mean, we complain because some places are overstaffed or understaffed for nurses because they have 8 or 10 patients. How many police officers per person can they handle, or how many do they need?
Wait, it's how many people per police officer? I don't think it's multiple police officers per person. But no,
yeah, each police officer only can handle 20 or something.
I don't think it works that way.
Got a capacity sticker on his back. How many can I?
The problem is they are spread out around the county. So it may take them 20 minutes to get from person A to person B. And
if he's in a boat somewhere and you're not in that boat, then all of a sudden
person
now you're
C,
police
D, and
officers.
E, it's not your time yet. So I'll be there. I'll be there a little later today, right? You might get to spend a little quality time with your policeman, but no. So think about the ridiculousness of this statement and what they're saying, because it really is. It's your job to protect you. It's your job to get the training. It's your job to get the tools. It's your job to be the person who makes sure that nothing bad happens to you and your family. Right?
Right. It's funny. It says, we strongly oppose any legislation that would create the potential for thousands of untrained individuals bringing guns onto the street in the city of New Orleans.
I think they already have thousands of individuals bringing weapons onto the street. So you're just trying to level the playing field so that my gun is there should I need it, when I need it, if I need it. And if I don't need it, then it stays nice and neatly tucked into its holster and it doesn't bother anyone.
Right? And bullets are so scarce you don't shoot any warning shots just because.
I'm not wasting a bullet. No. And, and so, I understand that there's a choice that says if you want to consume alcohol, then you've made the choice that you are not going to carry a gun, because those two preclude one another, because there's common sense in decisions. But to disarm us all because somebody may want to drink the Second Amendment doesn't mention a shot in that manner at all. It just doesn't. So when we come back, we'll talk more about the ridiculousness of what we're facing where we are. So Eye on the Target Radio, and thanks for listening, folks. We'll be back right after the commercial break.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Had a dirty day? Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps, made from fresh goat's milk and organic oils that detoxify, clean, and restore moisture to skin, will get you ready for your next adventure. These unique soaps are handcrafted in the Blue Ridge Mountains and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. Visit SillyBillyGoatFarm.com for their full line of Grunt Goat Tactical Soaps. That's SillyBillyGoatFarm.com. Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, we're back. And later tonight, I am going to be a guest on someone else's radio show. So the Gun Owners Radio, based out of California, at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to be on that show. So we'll see what happens. We're going to be talking about the NRA being canceled, the fashion show. Who knows what else? I know that they've got me. They've got Charlie Cook. We're gonna try to be both on the phone at the same time and not stomp over top of one another verbally, because that's always a hard thing when you add a couple different phone people in addition. It becomes a little bit of a challenge, but it's going to be good. So, hey, I wanted to tell you about something that happened at the fair tonight, and I thought that it was really good. I had a guy come through, and he was talking to me about the fact that he had gotten, while he was getting a divorce, they had put a temporary restraining order on him. And so he had tried to buy a gun and was told no. And so then he believed that from that point forward that he was never going to be allowed to buy a gun because he didn't quite understand the dynamics of the whole thing. It's kind of crazy. If you're not a threat to your spouse, if your divorce is not if it's not ugly, if it's not
right, but they normally just go in and do this.
It's a standard thing to just say, okay, women and men, nobody can have a gun while you're going through a divorce. That doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you do have a caustic situation, maybe you do need a gun to protect yourself if the other one is the one that is the aggressor. And so for them to evenly disarm both doesn't. It's like, oh well, everybody just be good and go to your corner. And
well, it's
it doesn't
a lot
really
like
happen.
the old days when your mom would tell you you're not allowed to fight at school. I mean, and your dad would say, go ahead and punch the guy in the nose. So if both teams were equally armed to punch the other in the nose, then possibly they wouldn't do anything. What do they call it? Mutually assured destruction.
Something. So he'd come and he'd been through all that and it was over. And I said, go try, go talk to the sheriff's department, have a conversation, ask them and work with them before you go through the class to apply for a concealed carry. And just give that an opportunity. So he came and he's like, I didn't believe it would happen, and you told me to do it, and it worked, and so everything is good. I've got a license now. I'm good to go, and thank you very much. So sometimes knowing the what and the why something is happening, and then knowing where you are in that circumstance and is always a good piece of information. And what happened at one time does not mean it happens forever. But there's so many things I have opinions on when it comes to this whole no guns for everybody kind of thing. You hear stories and you see things where someone is then killed because they don't have the ability to defend themselves, and they're like, well, we were trying to make it fair. No, you were not.
Sometimes you hear it the other way too, where they did actually get access to a gun and they killed somebody at that point. You can't get in someone's head as a thought police and say how it's going to go.
You can't have the same rules for everybody and just go, poof, this is that. We're just going to make it all better. We're just going to wish it all away. That's
right.
it. So, this past week, the Well-Armed Woman had their annual conference. And if you don't know what the Well-Armed Woman is it's one of the largest women's shooting groups in the country. So there's a girl and a gun. There's the Well-Armed Woman.
It surprises me. There's plenty of women's groups that have these. They get together and they shoot and they have like little training classes and they give away guns and do all kinds of stuff. Men don't do that. There's no group that men get together
the well-armed gentlemen. No, you guys aren't social like we are.
So,
that's it.
You can't win free shotguns, or you can't go and have donuts and coffee and just socialize for the afternoon. What's wrong with us?
I don't know. Would you join one if you could?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of the things that I think I'm too busy for that kind of stuff, and then I want to do it. I want that experience where you're sitting around the fire in the big red leather chairs, smoking cigars, and
well, those clubs exist still, right? That they've had the guy clubs like that. The women were never invited.
They just don't give stuff away or do anything fun or any of that stuff.
Maybe not. But I want to give a shout out to the fact that the Well-Armed Women Conference recognize the women that are in a leadership role of the DC Project. So the gals who are part of the Well-Armed Woman, who are also part of the DC Project, like one of the state leaders, they all got certificates telling them that they're in the Make a Difference category of stuff. And so I am seeing posts and I am seeing certificates and I am seeing gigantic smiles as they're holding this and being recognized.
The group, they're always they're at some state house thing. They're meeting their congressmen or senators. They're doing different things, and so they're busy and they're making a difference. It's just you got to be almost paying attention to what they're doing explicitly.
Well, if you go to you don't have to follow every woman. You can go to the DC Project on Facebook or the DCProject.info website, and you can see from there what is happening. And there's a newsletter. You can actually sign up on the DCProject.info. You can sign up and you can get the newsletter, and it'll tell you a lot of the stuff that's happening in the Second Amendment world that is female oriented for Teal for 2A, and freedom is for everybody. Peter says freedom is for everybody, and he's right. The Second Amendment is for everybody. My right, gun rights. What do they say? Gun rights are women's rights.
So maybe I should start my own men's shooting club. We'll all wear plaid and
have a beard. No stinking women. Women can join if they can grow a beard. That would be the category. It's just the bearded plaid people, and I'm wearing plaid, but unfortunately I do not have a beard. Well, or
pretty
fortunately,
soon you'd have to start saying what actually constitutes a beard. What is and.
Okay.
That's getting to be so much. There's so much rules that already it's turning me off.
It's too many rules. Yeah, I'm saying. I'm just thinking that if females have what could be constituted as a beard, they pull it out. There's a line there somewhere. Somewhere.
But if you got opportunity to join a club, knock yourself out. And if you don't, get out there and shoot anyhow, make a couple friends, and pretty soon you have your own club.
Were you standing at the fair booth when a gal that I know who's not necessarily 2A oriented, she comes over and she's like, Amanda, I want to introduce you to my husband. I want to schedule a play date. Okay. She's like, I'm going to leave him here for half an hour. He can talk to you. I'm going to go eat some fair food and I'll be back to pick him up. And because he needs to make new gun friends, because he keeps talking to me about guns. And frankly, she says, I don't quite know what he's saying, nor do I really care. So if I hook him up with new friends, those friends will satisfy his urge to talk about what he does gun related, and I'll be free from that. And I thought it was the funniest thing that I had heard.
Well, it's funny. When we first got to the fair, one of the guys that we've known for years, he comes over, and over the summer he had bought some stuff at an auction. And it was a lot of black powder accoutrements and stuff like this. So he's like, I have no use for any of this. You're the only guy I know that uses this stuff. So he's going to make me a deal on this big box of junk.
So was it a good deal that he made you? Or?
I have not had time to look in it, but it was pretty heavy to get home. So I'm thinking it was a
good deal. You just made it. You bought a giant box, and it was like, don't unpack it here because it won't go back in the box. It was pressure loaded into that box.
Even just opening the lid was dangerous that you wouldn't get that pushed back in.
It's not going back in. Right. There is all of that.
So I bought a pig and a poke from a guy that I trust that I'm getting my money's worth. So.
Okay. Well, so next week you're going to have to, between this week and next week, you're going to have to open this container. You're going to have to tell us what all is in there and the best thing that was in there as you find it. So it's sort of like buying when you were a kid. Remember when you got those little brown sacks of grab bags and something was in there and I carried mine around for a while thinking this could be wonderful or this could be wonderful. Imagine all the things that could be in it.
It's like Schrödinger's cat, right? And you don't know if it's good or bad until you open it up.
I'm not opening up Schrödinger's cat. I think the cat would prefer that I don't open the cat, right? All that. So, hey, when we come back, We've got more news. I don't know. Rob's sorting out what we're going to be talking about.
Everything is coming out of California.
We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com. A brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so we are back, and we've got an interesting California, well, a couple of interesting things in California. And so there is a guy in California, and he was arrested, and then he was charged, so that he was sentenced to in federal court to 24 months in custody for possessing a short-barreled rifle and 2 silencers, none of which were registered as required by law. Nowhere in this article did they say where he got them, how he got them, anything like that. The interesting piece is the fact that the government in the detention hearing said that there really are no legitimate uses for silencers other than to kill people. They are not used in hunting. They are not used in recreational purposes. So the rest of this article is disturbing because the guy probably should have been prosecuted for making threats, for threatening public safety. There are reasons why he should have been taken out of society or sorted out and looked at. So I'm not justifying any of his actions in that aspect. But the fact that the government is trying to determine which guns you can own based on legitimate sporting purposes.
Ohio, a couple of years ago, actually passed the thing where you were allowed to hunt with a suppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know a lot of long-range target shooters who use suppressors because it dampens the vibration of the barrel, and the rifles are much more accurate overall.
With the suppressor on it.
With a can on it.
Right. I mean, so that's the piece. So you want to read the AmmoLand article because it's an AmmoLand article written by Freddie Real. The guy should have been prosecuted for his threats. He should have been, they should have gone after him because if you are on social media, I know you have a First Amendment right, but that First Amendment right ends when you say that you're going to punch it, when you say you're going to punch somebody else in the face, your rights end where my nose starts. And so if you say that you're going to harm me, you're going to hurt me, you're going to do something else, those are threats to the safety of society. And so I think that this guy needed prosecuted for something, but to define the gun portion, that doesn't really make any sense. And there are some federal laws. So it looks like California prosecuted him when really it's a 1934 Gun Control Act issue. So it should have been a prosecution on a federal level. So does that mean the feds can go after him in addition to the state guys?
I'm sure that there is multiple layers of that, and if a lot of states, if you are in violation of a federal law, you're also in violation of a current
right.
state
So,
law.
but does that mean that
almost
when-
everything is a double?
the double
one
whammy?
covers the other.
Okay. Interesting. So California's got a couple other bills that you guys need to hear about.
One of them. Remember when they were doing where they couldn't rent their
They were trying to do a gun show, and then they had to cancel the gun show because they wouldn't let them rent the building.
right, and so now they're trying to pass a law to make it to where they
You'll
definitely
never.
cannot. So the Agricultural Association is going to be banned from owning or doing something with, I don't know how they say it.
Wait, so they're trying
You
to
can't
make it
use,
that are owned, leased, operated, or occupied by
Right.
the
Entering into
district.
an agreement to allow the sale of any firearm parts, or ammunition on property or buildings that comprise the OC Fair or Event Center or
properties in Orange County or Costa Mesa. And so they're really trying to prevent businesses from renting a taxpayer-funded venue for a lawful purpose, but because somebody doesn't like that lawful purpose, then you can't. So that's where they're trying to pass this law. So if you are at all politically oriented, and you should be, but if you are, send a letter, because it's Senate Bill 264. Let the California Senate know your thoughts on this, because it needs to be nip it in the bud, and let
Then
them know that you care.
They have another bill, Senate Bill 715, which if you're under the age of 21 and you are trying to purchase a long gun for hunting or whatever, you have to have a current hunting license. And then it seems like if the license expires during the calendar year, now you're in possession of a firearm illegally.
That you're not allowed to have. So look at this. I mean, anywhere else in the United States, if you're between 18 and 21, you can own a long gun. California is going to say you have to be between 18 and 21 with a license, a hunting license,
unexpired hunting license.
So how often do you buy them? So you just have to, sort of like my concealed carry, make sure that it doesn't expire.
Right. Well, I know in Ohio, our license expires on one day. So you have to buy it goes to like July 30th is the last day, and August 1st
and they
is
all
something.
expire. So you've
Yep.
got to just renew prior to that. So it's really setting up citizens between 18 and 21 years old to be in violation of the law.
Lawbreakers by accident.
Exactly. And so it's just California is getting their hat handed to them on a couple different areas in the Second Amendment. And so in response to that, as retaliatory to that, they're trying to pass some other laws and just keep it moving negatively.
Here's another one that's a National Firearms Amendment Act of 2021, they call it. It's H.R. 4953. And
so this is a federal bill.
It's brought by a Democrat from Florida, Theodore Deutsch. Anyhow, it basically, if you have a semi-automatic rifle or shotgun, modern or not, that accepts a detachable magazine, it's going to be subject to NFA rules and all the red tape that goes along with it. So
they have been talking about this. We had heard it before, but it is moving forward. It is a bill that has 8 co-sponsors right now to think about what's in your gun safe and how many of them have detachable magazines, and that it would be $200 per gun to register them. So really it is a huge de facto registration scheme to identify what you've got, where you've got it. And the $200, I've heard rumor that they were like, yeah, it's not about the money. We're just we'll bypass the $200. We'll make it so you just have to register it for free. But It's registration. It's gun registration on guns that are currently not registered. And they will force registration on any long gun with a detachable magazine. That's most of them.
Right. There's very few that don't have a magazine. I mean, and some of them, like a FN49, the magazine detaches for cleaning, but not for just switching back and forth. So is that a gray area that's going to put it in there?
If it comes off, it comes off. Off is off. On
And
is
then,
on.
The M1, it really doesn't have a magazine. It has a clip, so each one of them has to go in the rifle to make it operate at that time, and then comes back out on its own.
I don't know what the definition of what is right. So
give me a headache.
It does. But folks, you've got to be ever vigilant. You really do. But pay attention to what is happening in. I mean, right now,
HR 4953.
Yeah, so right now it doesn't stand a chance if it gets out of the House to the Senate, but there's an election next year. And that election, the dynamic and the change of that election is going to change what happens. And it's going to change. Elections matter. Elections have consequences. And we are
that right now,
one generation away from gun control on a large scale. So, folks, we'll catch you next week. Tune in then, and we'll see ya.